Happy Monday, guys. Welcome back. We are going to do a session that kind of follows on a little bit from what we've done on yesterday's Sunday session, where we've done predominantly that pigeon position, which is brilliant prep for getting those hips in a sort of similar position to your front split. So we're actually going to do some front split today. Now, you don't need to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something to put my hands on. So I've got a chair and I've got this little stool. It's got wheels and it's probably not going to be the best thing, but I reckon I can control that. If you don't have that, don't worry. You could either just use your sofa at one side or your hands on the floor. It's really up to you. So we'll do a bit of warm up and then it's going to be kind of front split centric today. So jump up, we're going to do hip circles and hip hinge and that kind of thing. So I'll just tilt my camera a wee second. There we go. So I'm going to put this to the side for a minute because we're not going to need that just now. And we'll do our hip circles to get started. So because it's going to be front split focused, we're not going to worry about doing like a frog because that's mainly for doing that side split kind of position. So in your own time, just circle those hips, 8 to 10 reps each way, more or less depending on how you're feeling. We're not going to do as many hip circles today because we're going to focus a little bit more on getting them going to the front and back because that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to go straight into those knee raises. They're going to get those hip flexors working. Also lengthens out at the back. And we want to do them until we start to feel those hip flexors just coming alive a little bit. Not necessarily that they're totally burning and fatigued, but certainly that we're starting to get a little bit of work in them. So don't swing the knee, just try and lift it at above 90 degrees if you can manage. So if you can get above your hip crease, that's brilliant. If you can't, don't worry. Don't compromise by doing this to make it happen. Just lift it up. If you want to use your chair for a little bit of balance, that'd be cool as well. So we're going to go to our hip hinge next. We're going to start getting the hamstrings, that opposing muscle group. So just hinging forwards. We're going to do a forward bend today. Forward bend is different to a hip hinge. Forward bend is you bend over as far as you can. A hip hinge is keeping everything straight and hinging through the hip. So we're going to do our forward bend. I like to just let my arms hang and I'm going to imagine from my neck down to my pelvis is what I'm allowing one vertebrae at a time to kind of topple over. So tuck that chin in. Slowly letting the shoulders round forwards. There's no real rush. If you want to go quicker than me, you can. Make sure you breathe out. You should go down. Doesn't matter how far you get, just go until you feel a decent stretch. If you get to the floor, that's great. If you can't reach the floor, try having your hands on something. So keep curling down, but this is just going to take a bit of the weight. And you might actually find that just by taking a little bit of the weight in your hands, so I'm actively pushing down, lifting my body up. It just lets this relax off and then go a little bit deeper. If you can reach the floor, you just do the same thing with the floor. So I kind of take a bit of the weight into my hands and then I take it away. And then when you're ready, I like to take my hands off and I just do the opposite to curl back up. We're going to do 2 more of them. So no need to rush it, just take your time. Curl it forwards, bending. And then coming up, reverse it. And one more time. Again, you can have your hands onto your object just to kind of control it. Brilliant, superb. I'm going to move this just out of the way. Little shade. We're going to come down onto the floor into our half kneeling position. I'm going to tilt the camera because we're going to be floor based from now on. Get myself in, go back and shade. So there we go, that half kneeling position, and we're just going to rock back and forwards. We're just trying to get the hip and the hamstring. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about it, but kind of what you're doing with this front leg is almost like that hamstring extender. You know, when we're laying our back and we're straightening that leg out, well, this is kind of similar. Bit different, but it's kind of similar, but we've integrated it into some other things. So we're not trying to go too deep, we're just trying to create a little bit of freedom of movement. And change. Right, come back to the other side. This time we're going to do like a lunge type position. I'm just going to lift that camera up a wee shade. There we go, that'll be better. So we're going to come in here and we're just going to lift up. What we're trying to do is straighten that back leg, and then we're going to come down. And then we're going to come up and back down. Up, down, up, and one more time. Up, get it straight, and down. Change it over, other side. So we're only doing 5 of these. Goal is just to get up, hold it for a couple of seconds, getting the legs straight. So we might not be holding it particularly long. So up, I went a bit deeper this side. 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Rest. Change sides. So that was mainly for that hip flexor, the leg going backwards. Now we're going to do a little bit of work for the front. So if you want, you could have your chair side just for a little bit of balance. But essentially what we're going to do is lean forward and create this stretch through the front leg. So if you can't reach the floor, feel free to have your chair here. I'm just going to lean into that, give me a decent little stretch. So what we're doing is we're working the back leg and then the front leg, and then we've got to do the back and the front leg together. So this is kind of like pretty comfortable, but we're just working completely on this hamstring. Once you feel as though you kind of max out a little bit, what I want you to do is like you're pumping the brakes, okay? So you're just going to toes down, but I want you to pull your toes back as far as you can. You're going to feel that stretch up the back of the leg. It's going to mobilize all that tissue, maybe a wee bit weird, a bit nasty. And you should notice that that position has gotten either a bit deeper or a bit easier, or maybe both. Let's switch it up. So we're going to change back to that other side. Again, I'm going to go back to my higher position. I'm just leaning forward. Nothing on the hip flexor for the back leg. Just focus all in on the hamstring for the front leg. So this is a great alternative for you guys that really struggle with the seated hamstring stretch. It's a more active than passive, but it's still static, so it's an option if you're really struggling, which I know that some of you guys do. If you're finding this one pretty comfortable, then just keep progressing forwards and down. And then when you get to that point where you think, yeah, I'm not really progressing, the stretch reflex isn't easing off, then we're just going to up and down. Wow, on this side for me, the nerviness, that sciatic nerve, I feel it much more. Less of a muscular feeling, more of a nervy feeling. If you're not sure what the difference is, nervy is more like a pins and needles, tingly, weirdy, nervy kind of thing. Muscular is more, well, you usually feel it, the stretch, like, oh, that muscle's going to, sometimes you'll see it's going to snap, it's going to ping, it's feeling very stretched out, so there's a difference. And then you can have jointy type pain, which tends to be more a pinching or a stuck feeling, like it's limited in its range of movement. So it's really good to dial into, like, you just say it's stiff or it's tight or it's uncomfortable one way or further. If you can work out whether it's the muscle, the joint, or the nerve, then it allows us to work out, well, what are we going to do about it? Because if it's the nerve and you mobilize the joint, that'll help, but we really need to do some nerve mobilizations or whatever. So we've now got to put the back leg and the front leg together. So I'm going to pull in this. So I've got something either side. I wouldn't recommend some with wheels on it, because when I put my weight on it, it's going to want to splay, but I reckon I can manage it. So, yes, yeah. So I'm going to use these for balance. I'm going to come into my front split, and I want to be both off the floor. Okay, so you might need to be up on your toes, or you might want to roll that over, but we're going to try and be like from our toes to our heels. Okay, so you see why having my hands on this is kind of ideal. You might just be on one thing, you know, so you could just be on one thing, it's totally fine. And we're just going to hold it, since I forgot that this rotated as well. So not only want to try to stop it from sliding down, try to stop it rotating. So we're just going to hold that. And as you feel like it opens up, let yourself slide down. Try not let the knee come down. Okay, we're going to go there, but not yet. Try and hold it. So you're really pushing that back foot into the floor. The front foot, you're pushing into the floor a little bit to keep you up. Cool. Come on out of it. So we're going to do three rounds. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Like a high, a medium, and then a really low one. So that was the high one. And at the other side, we're going to hold it for a good 30 seconds or so. Imagine yourself just sliding all the way out in that perfect front split for you. Wouldn't that feel incredible? You know, I've had dreams about what it feels like to just slide into side split, roll into my belly, and then pull my legs back through behind me. I felt it. I know what it feels like in a dream. It feels real. I just got to realize it. Cool. Put that in. So we're going to do the same again, but I want you to go a bit further this time. But what you should find is that after that first stretch, you're probably a little bit further in, and there we go, sliding away. So don't put the knee down, try and keep the knee up if you can. Okay, so keep that knee up, but let it come down a bit lower if you can. Cool, so that knee's still up. Pop it in if you need to come out of that position. Other side. And the longer yoga mat. So make sure the knee is off the floor. Use your hands to push you up. And then, once you get into it, start taking as much through your legs as you can tolerate. So I'm like at 6 out of 10. When I say as much as you can tolerate, we're not going to maximum on this. Cool. Again, come out of it. Okay, third and final one. We're going to try and go lower. Again, Try your best to keep the back knee off the floor. It's going to develop some strength in that position. And hopefully because of that, we can go a bit lower still. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle to get out there. I'm actually able to pretty much sit in my front split, but I'm going to lift it off. And come on up. Woo, that's deep. Little recovery. Other side. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Get that heel out there. Needs to be off the mat. There we go. And come on out. Cool. That's it, guys. We're not doing any more than that. That is it.